are there any other places in the Old Testament that can be used to validate a prophecy of the bodily resurrection from the Old Testament?
That's a great question, and it's not an easy one to answer. We think today of prophecy in different terms than they did in the first century. They would look at things like we do to an extent. For example, there are certain prophecies in Isaiah and some other places that seem to refer directly to Jesus. But the Jews of that day looked at different prophecy a little bit differently than we do today. And what will help us, and I'll explain this right now, but what will help us is to be able to look at the text as though we have glasses that are prescribed to read things that were written in the first century. Both of you are wearing glasses right now.
Yeah.
If you have a prescription that's not correct, then you're not going to see things clearly. So we have to put on glasses that are prescribed for reading text as they were written in the first century. Back in the first century, there was a phenomenon called composite citations or composite quotations. We see this a lot in the Gospels where, for example, when it's talking about Judas and throwing the 30 pieces of silver back into the temple, Matthew says, this was in fulfillment of what Jeremiah the prophet said. Now, when we read the text, which Matthew was saying is the prophecy, it's not Jeremiah, it's Zechariah. But it has one phrase, 3 words, the sons of Israel. And that comes from Deuteronomy. And then there is one word, the word field, which comes from Jeremiah. So almost all of the verse that Matthew quotes and attributes to Jeremiah, almost all of it comes from Zechariah, with 3 words from Deuteronomy and 1 word from Jeremiah. So we look at that today and we say, that's weird. But it wasn't just the Christians who were doing this in the first century. The Greco-Roman and other Jewish authors were doing it as well. So this was a practice not only common to Jews, but also to Greeks and Romans. So it was a very loose way, an artistic way to link current events with past texts. Now, we wouldn't do that today. We wouldn't be impressed to say, well, that's a fulfilled prophecy. So that's why when you hear people like myself, other scholars, Christian apologists who were saying Jesus rose from the dead, we're not using fulfilled prophecy as an argument in favor of that.